Hello dear students, and thank you for joining this course. So this course is brought to you by the University of Gilizan. So the course is entitled Language Skills, and in this lesson we will be exploring the first chapter of the course that will be about receptive language skills, namely listening and reading. I am your teacher, Dr. Abdelkader CHETOUANE, and that's my email copied in the slide below. So if you have any questions, please save them for later, take notes, and please do feel free to email me if you have any questions or any concerns. So starting off with the learning objectives of the course. So this course mainly aims to describe elements of receptive language skills, help students follow the appropriate process of teaching receptive language skills, which are again listening and reading, and finally assess their knowledge and understanding on the lesson on receptive language skills. As for the prerequisites, to be able to accomplish this course, you only need to have a good mastery of spoken and written English, to have successful communication with the teacher of this course and with the materials being used in their teaching. Moving to the lessons mind map. So basically the course is entitled language skills. So in the classroom situation, students would be probed to have an introductory test to evaluate their knowledge about the topic addressed and to assess their prerequisites. So as mentioned earlier in this course, in this lesson, we'll be firstly addressing the first chapter of the lesson or of the course, which is receptive language skills. That will consist of listening and reading. The same mind map holds the prerequisites, the introduction, the conclusion, and a list of bibliographical materials that will be very, very helpful for students once achieving or once completing this course. So the very first point that we will be discussing in today's lesson is an introduction to receptive language skills. So what are receptive language skills? So as the title of the lesson entails, receptive language skills are about receiving language, receiving input, yeah? And receiving is not only about taking that input and keep it aside, but also it stresses on a very important point, which is comprehensive input, or comprehending the language being received, as in being read or listened to. And it's only then when real learning actually happens. So if you are listening to, let's say, some words gibberish that you cannot understand, that's not reading, that's not actual reading, that's not actual listening. It can only be called listening when you can actually understand what's being said, and at the same time you can reproduce that input that's being received. I'm going to go ahead and read the whole slide. So receptive language skills consist of the abilities to successfully read and listen, and consequently comprehend a foreign language. Since nobody is born with these abilities, since nobody is born with these abilities, these skills have to be learned and mastered. Even listening, which seems an obvious inborn ability, it must be learned too. At this point, we need to stress the importance of comprehensible input. This cannot be just any stream of sounds we hear or words we read. It is an input we clearly understand and are able to reproduce. then is when real learning takes place. The first skill that we will be discussing is listening. A definition by Dash 2022 describes listening as follows. So listening is a process of receiving and interpreting the spoken word. It involves recognizing what is said and comprehending the matter that is, understanding the main and subsidiary points, as well as links between the different parts of speech. So, delving into the details of listening, in language learning, there are different types of listening, which often appear as pairs of opposites, that is, in a form of dichotomy. Cook 2016 presents the bottom-up and top-down approach or processing dichotomy of listening. According to Cook, top-down implies starting from the sentence as a whole. So when listening, it's about starting from the sentence as a whole and working down to its smallest part. So listening to the whole sentence, then trying to understand the sentence by breaking down the sentence into small elements. While bottom-up means, on the contrary, starting from the smallest part and working up. So starting from focusing on the very small parts of the sentence, then trying to understand the overall meaning using those little or small detail and words that one could focus on when listening to a sentence. So, for instance, in top-down listening strategies, students could listen to parts of story, complete the story ending, then listen and compare the endings. So we will have the element of predictability here. You'll be listening to parts of the story, then you'll be predicting the endings of the story. When doing that, students would be predicting information, focusing on main ideas, relating new information to what the listener previously knows. On the other hand, bottom-up listening entails paying attention to details and understanding every word, phrase, and sentence to build up the overall meaning. This process requires the listener to piece together words and sentences to build meaning. Now moving to the second skill, which is reading. So reading is defined as the ability to grasp the meaning of the written texts. Reading also activates learners to communicate with writers, to understand the main ideas of written text, to help learners to be aware and to get particular messages from the text. The metacognitive and cognitive processes involved in reading can help readers analyze, summarize, judge, and make informed decisions. So, about reading, there are two types of reading: extensive reading and intensive reading. And according to Harmer, 1983, students need to be engaged in both types of reading if they want to get the maximum benefit. Extensive reading refers to the reading of books a student chooses for himself, for his own pleasure, while intensive reading refers to the reading of special literature assigned by the professor. When a learner is reading, he or she can focus on different things, reading for gist or so-called skimming, meaning the goal is general understanding of the text, reading for specific information or so-called scanning, and reading for profound comprehension, which refers to attitude. The goal is to interpret the message between the lines. After having explored both skills, both receptive skills, which are listening and reading, now we will move to exploring a method of teaching these receptive skills. So when we talk about the teaching or receptive skills, we have to point out that there is a basic methodology for teaching both listening and reading. For both types of input, students have a choice between listening or reading superficially with the aim of comprehending a general idea of the text, and listening or reading carefully with the focus on the search for a specific required information. These are two different skills and need to be equally practiced. Teachers hence have a responsibility to develop both of these skills to their students. Harmer 1983 suggests a few basic steps related to teaching this teaching practice, which can be seen in the figure that is entitled Steps for Teaching Receptive Skills as following. So, as you can see, there are 6 main steps in order to teach receptive skills. The first one is the leading in, which means introducing students to the topic of the text, activating their background knowledge, and asking them to predict what the text is going to be about, or what the topic that's being listened to is all about. Secondly, directing comprehension tasks, which means asking students to try to comprehend the general idea that's being listened to or being read. Thirdly, providing text or tape for students to read or listen to. So simply at this stage, the material is being presented to the students to use for their studies, or to study, or to analyze, or to read, or to listen to. Fourthly, directing feedback, which means divide the students into pairs or small groups, go through the answers all together. The teacher informs them about the level of their accomplishment while focusing on the positive things. In the fifth position, or the fifth step, is directing text-related task, which means questioning students about the content or some language aspects of the text. Finally, repeating the process. So this step is optional, but it's very much welcomed, and it includes involving more details of the material being listened or being read. And in this step, the teacher could also introduce different type of material, but that should speak about the same topic as the initial material, and this is just to deepen the understanding of the students about the topic that is being discussed. Finally, or in conclusion, receptive language skills are a crucial part of human communication. They consist of the ability to successfully listen and read language input. Students and teachers are not only required to familiarize themselves with receptive language skills, but also know how these skills are taught, which is through a well-structured process that guides the learner from the early introductions of the lessons being read or listened to finally finishing it with probing questions that test students' understanding of the studied material. Thank you so much for your attention. If you have any questions or concerns, please feel free to send them to me in my email, which you will find in the slides. Thank you so much.